Are you ready, kids? Get your parents' permission, check your mailbox, and grab your shopping cart. It's time for the Adventures in Collecting podcast.
I'm Erik.
And I'm Dave. Welcome to Adventures in Collecting, where we talk toy news, culture, and hauls,
along with our journeys as collectors. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Adventures in Collecting.
As was requested by the voice of the intro, Joe. Hi.
We're back. And if you read the description of this episode, you know that this is a special one. Today we are not doing news. We are not doing hauls.
Aren't they all special at this point?
Well, no, because now this one is actually a new format. We haven't done this yet, like just this.
Okay.
We did a top 10. But we did a top 10 like as kind of like the special subject after we did like news and hauls. But this time we are just going to focus on top 10 figures from the first half of 2021 because oh my god, we're already halfway through 2021, which is insane given the year we all just went through. But we have a special guest joining us today, Dave.
Erik, do not, I repeat, do not bury that lead.
You got it. Not going to do it. Joining us today from the streets of Philadelphia, the posing guru himself. Joining us tonight on This Here Jawn is Just Jay Hernandez.
Dave, Erik, thank you so much for having me this evening.
The pleasure is all ours. But before we get into toy stuff, I have a Philadelphia question to ask you.
Oh, sure.
Pats or Genos?
Neither.
Ooh.
Neither. You want gyms.
Yep,
want gyms.
That's the answer.
That's pretty much what it is that you want right there. Granted, you're going to be in line probably for about a good hour and a half, depending on what time of day you go there. But yeah, Pats and Genos like that. As far as just saying that you went there, just to say that you went there, sure, you know, everyone likes to make that venture out to South Philly. But no, if you want yourself a good stay, go out to gyms.
There you have it. He did not. He did not
agree.
He did not fall for it. He of course he passed.
I 1000% agree.
So welcome to the show. As you heard, and as you're very well aware of, because we prepped you beforehand because we weren't going to just spring this on you. We're going to go over our collective top 10. I'm thinking there might be, you never know, there might be some crossover here or there between our lists, but we're gonna present to you, the listener, 30 or so action figures that we think were really cool from the first half of 2021, and I think in terms of process here, I think we should let our guest kick us off with the first figure. So Jay, what do you have at the? Let's start at the bottom of our lists. And work our way up.
I'll go ahead and start with a couple of honorable mentions right now. One of them comes just from straight out preference because I just like it so much, is probably the White Skull Agent from Mezco 112's Rumble Society. Only because he's such a straight up basic figure, yet he looks really, really freaking rad. I mean, we're talking about a dude who's top to toe black gear with a skull mask. So for that, like for really all intents and purposes, that kind of just does it for me right there, as far as just what it is that I want out of an action figure. And then the other one, seeing that I'll go ahead and just put out the spoilers already, is that there's going to be absolutely no Marvel Legends in my top 10. Seeing that I hate to say it because I love the Legends team that much, but I haven't been impressed by any of the Legends that have come out so far in 2021. Now, I do know that we have a bevy of good stuff that's coming later on, you know, from what it is that we have seen from reveals, from what it is that we have seen from this huge MCU drop or drops that they've had these last couple of weeks. But for me, I think the only one that's really scratched my itch is that new classic Thanos. I think that's a gorgeous figure. Yet at the same time, what's keeping it from being in the actual top 10 is the lack of really, really good articulation. Now, granted, for a big guy, he can still move a little bit, but not as well as I'd like it to. But I'm not going to take away the fact that they were able to make a really good looking figure, a good classic figure that just screams just Starlin all over it, man. So those are two right there that didn't make that top 10 list, but it would be a crime not to mention.
Yeah, that Thanos figure is really, really nice in hand. So I typically don't go for the. I'm pretty much an MCU only collector when it comes to the Marvel Legends. I have a very few exceptions that I make. Mostly are like 90s Spider-Man associated exceptions to that rule. But that Thanos figure is absolutely gorgeous in hand. I actually really like the how they handled the gold paint apps on it.
Yeah.
How it kind of has like the armor kind of has that like little bit of like a metallic swirl to it. They did a really, really nice job with that figure. And he almost made my list too, which would have been insane given the fact that I don't really collect the comic figures.
Yeah. And like I said, it would have been a crime just not to mention just at least one Marvel Legends figure here.
So you know what? Since we're talking about honorable mentions, before we get into our actual lists here, we have you know what? Let's see. I'm gonna go with we have 6 figures here from our Instagram followers that were submitted. We put out a little story. We had a couple of repeats, but we have 6 on here, and I don't think any of these are going to be on our list. So I'm gonna go through these pretty quickly here. So from good friend of the pod, Creepy NJ, Dave, co-host of Calling All Creeps and Daycare Dittos, he wanted to include the Super 7 Bebop Ultimate figure.
Okay.
I've seen that a lot. I've seen a lot of people say that that's like one of the best figures of the year.
It's a massive figure.
It's massive. I couldn't with between the NECA stuff and like we always talk about it, guardrails.
Yeah. No, that makes total sense. I can't
go down that road.
Yeah.
Dave, this one we have a geek at a geek of nature suggested the Ultimate Macho Man.
Okay.
That's a good.
Do you have that one on your list by any chance?
I do not.
Did that one make? All right.
Ultimate Macho Man did not make it. I just don't love the coat.
No,
the leather jacket.
I was gonna say he's got like the zebra stripe coat, right?
Yeah, Mattel still really has a lot to learn about soft goods, but they're trying. They really are trying.
Well, I'm just glad that they're packing the soft good robes and stuff separate from the figure to avoid the staining that was happening with some of those elites. That was a really good reactive running change that they did. All right, so at Sean to the Max, McFarlane Bizarro.
That's a really good one. That came really close to being on mine. I wouldn't go so far as to call it an honorable mention, I guess, but it's something that could move around, and that's going to be the weird thing with my list is that some of this may move, some of this may change, but a lot of it needs to be unseated in some form or fashion. But that Bizarro is awesome.
Well, yeah, I mean that's always the case with these lists, right? Because especially too, like I remember putting together the list from last year. There were figures that I initially had gotten and was kind of disappointed in, but the more time I spent with them and the more time that I like used them in photography and just kind of had them on my desk and got to look at them at different angles and everything, sometimes a figure does grow on you. So I don't think that's too far out of reach there.
Who's the example on that?
The example of one that grew on me?
Yeah.
So a really good example of that for me was actually the Diamond Select Bruce Lee. The one specifically the one in the yellow. I have both of them. Yeah. But the Game of Death Bruce Lee. That outfit is just so iconic that
the Game of Death, yeah.
I wanted the figure, like I wanted a representation of that. And initially, like I was playing with it, and Diamond Select, I love them. Their detail, their paint, they're always really tight. But the problem is they don't have a scale that they adhere to, which is that's kind of the deal with them. You have figures
kind of like McFarlane as well.
Yeah, it's all about perspective.
All about perspective.
So I had him on my desk, and he comes with rad accessories. He's got a bow staff. He's got different types of nunchucks. He's got like the nunchuck with the spinning effect. He's got 2 different head sculpts. He's got a bunch of hands. And after a while, like just kind of looking at it and really getting like looking at the profile and the face from different angles, and really getting him in some good lighting and playing with the camera, I really just kind of really started to he grew on me. And now like it's a permanent staple on my desk and my part of my display. And it's just one of those figures I can't explain exactly why. Like it's not just one specific thing. It's just a combination of a bunch of little things and like getting that right pose. And once you have him kind of locked in, it really is a good figure. Even if it's tough to scale him with stuff.
Yeah, that's totally fair. I mean, as far as just the way that figure articulated, I thought that it was gorgeous. The only thing that kept me away from it was the actual likeness to Bruce Lee. Now, if you look at that figure straight up as just a generic martial arts figure, it was pretty terrific.
The of the 2 heads, the neutral head, I think is a miss. I don't think the neutral head looks like Bruce Lee in any shape of the imagination. I think it just kind of, like you said, looks like standard generic martial arts guy. But the battle cry face, I think that face actually really does. Again, like once you have him in the right pose and you have the right hands on him, like I have him kind of permanently with the nunchuck tucked underneath his right arm, and then the left arm has kind of like the almost like the relaxed rock and roll hand extended out in front of him. And like I said, I love it. It's just the right combination of stuff, the right angle, the right pose really kind of brings that figure to life.
Yeah.
All right, let's see. Next one. So we have from action figure Avenger Zach, the new Bucky, so the new Winter Soldier from that Disney Plus wave. I have that figure in hand. I have that one, and I will say the face print on that is ridiculous. Like it is import quality face printing for a $20 figure. Like the 5 o'clock shadow, the likeness to Sebastian Stan. It's just that figure doesn't come with. He comes with no accessories.
No
His accessories are the Build-A-Figure
that
pieces.
And is it me, or are the thigh cuts a little low?
They are. It is not a perfect figure. It has some really great sculpting work on the chest piece, like his his uniform, for lack of a better word. The Wakandan arm looks fantastic, but the legs are a little funny. And again, no accessories. Now they did give him pistol hands, so if you do, you can very easily give him a firearm from another character. That the firearm issue with action figures that use firearms in their source material and not having them in toys, obviously, like it's a thing that's happening across the board. It's not just something that's specific to Marvel. But at least I kudos to them, not being allowed to pack in a firearm, but still giving him the hands to use one, to swap in one, was really smart. But the head sculpt alone on that figure is remarkable. So I could see why somebody would put that high on their list.
I actually I see absolutely no legends in Philly, man. It's so bad. It really is.
Really?
I see none around here. The vultures pick them like just clean before morning, man.
Yeah, that one was one of those ones where I actually Toysha's had posted the barcode, and I was at an unfamiliar Target. I had to go actually needed to rent a piece of yard equipment, and it took me near a Target that I don't frequent. And I went in, and they happened to be stocking the shelves. I asked them to scan the barcode, and they came out with the entire wave for me.
Oh, fantastic!
Pure dumb luck, pure dumb luck. And it was before street date too, so nothing was register locked.
Oh, double trouble right there. Oh, that's great.
Yeah, it was awesome. And let's see. So the last one we have on our list here is okay. So this one is from @CraigStuff. This is the Aniplex Buzzmod Tanjiro. So I think that's the Demon Slayer main character. I am actually wholly unfamiliar with Aniplex Buzzmod as a toy maker.
Oh, right on. Okay, yeah, this is something that I'm not wholly familiar with in my old age here.
So I know I have not seen Demon Slayer. I know that it is kind of like lighting the anime world on fire. I've heard many talk about it. I've heard it's excellent. I know the film that they put out broke tons of records at the for anime films at the box office.
I've heard a lot of positive buzz about Demon Slayer.
But this looks like a really rad figure. Really great accessories. I love that. Like, it looks like it comes with like a cool like flame ring.
Yeah, it's pretty
accessory
sweet
for the sword. That's a cool motion accessory. Yeah. Looks like it has tons of articulation. I have to see if Craig @CraigStuff, he does unboxings as well, and videos. I got to see if he did a review of this one and go back and watch it because it looks really cool.
Just from the pictures here, I mean, it looks pretty sweet. I mean, it really is a crime that I just don't take the time to watch too much anime. Like these days, like I'm still saying, hey, fellow kids, do you watch Trigun, the planet Gunsmoke? Isn't that fantastic?
Remember Akira?
Ninja Scroll was always great, you guys.
I have to say, looking at these pictures, I love when import figures, like when they have these kind of traditional Japanese like those like big like wide flowing pants with like the big like chunky knee joints and stuff.
Yeah.
I love the articulation on those, like how they hide it in like the creases of the pants, and like it's such good engineering. It's almost like Transformers level engineering on some of these import joints. So cool.
Yeah, it's great because like I'm looking at like some of these articulated poses, and I'm like, wow, man, like it really is great. Like it is no lie. Like they hide the articulation pretty well.
So yeah, we'll definitely post pictures of this one after this episode comes out. We'll link. We'll see if Craig has a review, and I'll link to it. But so that is the submissions from Instagram for the honorable mentions. Dave, would you like to take us into your first official pick?
Yeah, I'll start. So where I said the Ultimate Macho Man Randy Savage was not in my list, the other figure from that series of Ultimates is, and that's Edge. So WWE Mattel Ultimate Series 8 Edge.
Nice. Yeah, that has one of my favorite head sculpts that I've ever seen on a WWE figure period ever. The like blown back hair one.
Yeah, it really kind of captures a cool moment when he came back for the 2020 Royal Rumble before, kind of everything stopped. And it was kind of like this really cool thing where you never thought you'd see Edge back, and there he was, and it was really cool.
That's really the one thing that I will give Mattel as far as these Ultimate figures are concerned, is that they really are ultimate as far as the amount of options that you get. when it comes to just clothing, when it comes to separate heads, when it comes to hands, things like that. It's something that I wish a lot more companies would do, at least mass market companies would do. Yeah, so I can totally see why you'd put one of these guys in your top 10 here.
Yeah, I love too, like, because there's always that thing, right? We talked about it already with soft goods, but like sometimes soft goods just doesn't cut it. Like you just need a soft rubber to really kind of, you know, make that like leather look. And I love when they do that. They give you the swappable arms, so that way, you know, you have, you know, a soft rubber, you know, trench coat, you know, in Edge's case, and then you have the arm, the you know, the sleeved arms to go with it. That's just a cool. I love when they do stuff like that.
It makes for kind of easier removal, because then you're pretty much just popping the arms off and removing like a cloak at that point.
I'll go on with mine. This is my G.I. Joe entry. So I have G.I. Joe Classified Lady J.
Nice
is my first pick. And you know, it's not my favorite G.I. Joe Classified figure of the year so far, but it's definitely, I think, the best. You know, they did some things with this figure that Hasbro as a manufacturer has not done in any other line. I love the swappable hair and hat situation, the double jointed elbows on a female figure finally, and they're not gummy, which is awesome. I was worried that because of how small the joints were, that they were going to have kind of that gummy feeling that some of the pinless, smaller pinless joints have, but they're nice and tight, and they move the way that I need them to. I love her storage system. The fact that you can change the heads on the javelins, like it's just for me, it's a very it's a figure that really kind of showcases the engineering of action figures, and that's why it made the list for me. So Lady J, from Lady J to just J. Let's hear your first pick for your official list.
Cool. So number 10 goes to NECA's Guardians. Let's see, what was it? Defenders of the Earth, Merciless Ming. Seeing that, I think that really is the star of the three. What it is that we are looking at, if you did pick up some of those New York Comic Con or SDCC packs of those old DC figures with aliens, predators, we're looking at the exact same body. However, you know, with what it is that NECA was able to give us, they were able to give us just a really nice blank body that they could use for anything. So we're looking at a good NECA figure, superhero proportions, that moves incredibly, incredibly well. And the thing that puts this particular figure over the edge from his counterparts, seeing his wave mates, as it were, when we're looking at Phantom, when we're looking at Flash Gordon, is this guy has something that a lot of other companies have yet to do as far as mass market is concerned, and that is a wired cape, a beautiful freaking wired cape. You top that off with a really nice paint deco. The dude just pops on any shelf. So that's one that really did make an impact on me, and which is why I wanted to have it on my list. QC issues be darned. This one actually did it for me quite a bit, and especially seeing that, you know, it is NECA, and I don't go out of my way to pick up a lot of their stuff outside of, you know, the odd TMNT figure here and there. But when they came out with these guys and seeing that it's so off the beaten path, and of course, you know, us being peers as far as just how old we are, you know, it was something that I didn't even think they would ever make, you know, like as far as just, you know, it's kind of, I don't want to necessarily say scraping the bottom of the barrel, but it is a deep cut, especially for those of us who are on that earlier side of millennialdom, as it were, because not a lot of folks remember this. Like, they really don't. So to see an updated version of this and just seeing it done well, yeah, it really floats my boat.
Yeah, it was awesome too when they announced those, to see the callback art to like the Galoob toys, and even, you know, on the finished product, the NECA logo in the Galoob font was was a really nice touch.
Yeah, that's one thing that NECA really excels at, is just getting straight in, like not just the figure, but whoever's doing the graphic design for them. Like I'm remembering like them like doing the throwbacks to the Toy Biz 1989 Batman stuff, which is fantastic.
Yep, and even the stuff that they do for the Kenner aliens that they continue to
Yeah.
keep churning out. Just I saw the just yesterday, I saw the Rhino alien in store, and it took a lot of self-control not to buy it. Just because it's a gorgeous figure. It's like, you know, crazy monster alien figure, but the artwork on the box just like immediately brought me back to my childhood, and I was like, do I need this? Yeah, but that's I have the Phantom from that wave. That was the only one I was able to find, and that was the one that I really wanted, because I kind of have a thing for like old pulpy superhero kind of guys. So like him, the Rocketeer. I would love a Shadow figure for somebody to make a Shadow figure. That'd be awesome. But yeah, it's definitely a cool series, and to your point, that body mold is so reusable. I hope they keep just recycling it, and, you know, churning out guys with it.
Yeah, because it moves just great.
Dave, I think we're back to you.
All right, so I'm gonna combine two figures into this one. It's not the first combination of figures on the list, but it's the first. And this one is one of those ones where I didn't really think the design of these could be better until a new version of them were announced recently. But, you know, between just again, another instance of a company capturing a moment and capturing like an event, and including just some fantastic accessories that really kind of accentuates the characters. Talking about Jazzwares, AEW Unrivaled Series 4, Santana and Ortiz.
Yeah. Talk about two like we talked about this when they came out, right, Dave? Where we said like
we talked about this with Magic, yeah.
Yeah, two wrestlers that you don't necessarily think are toyetic, right? They're just kind of like, they're like old school, like, you know, brawler style wrestlers, right?
Mm-hmm.
That, you know, yeah, they have like, you know, they're
have great
amazing,
to watch. Yeah.
Yeah. Super talented, amazing personas, but like they're one of those ones where you're kind of worried that they won't translate well to toy, but boy.
Yeah, just fantastic figures.
Yeah, and again, the accessories with those, I love the multiple heads on on Ortiz, right? Ortiz has two different heads.
I believe they both have two heads.
But yeah, great figures. Jazzwares is just crushing it with those.
It's true, man. Like you really got to give it up to Jazzwares. I mean, they have upped their stock even like within like these last 2 years. I mean, I think that this all started pretty much with their Fortnite stuff. And then from there, with that recipe, they just started to just use it everywhere. So what it is that they're doing with these wrestling figures is just fantastic.
Yeah, and I actually I really like the exclusives that they've come out with, only because the packaging on them has been ridiculous. So like I have we both have the little bit of the bubbly Jericho, which is one of the coolest packaged toys ever. But it's also readily available. Like I don't have to, you know, go crazy trying to find it. I went on Ringside, I ordered it, it was at my house 2 days later. Like what I can't complain. You know, it's they really are doing an incredible job with that. So you have a tag team on your list. You're already finding loopholes, dear brother.
Yeah, I did it.
I'm gonna go. I have my only Marvel Legend on the list. And you know, this is not because I have been unhappy with the MCU Legends that have come out. I forced myself to only pick one for this slot, and I ended up going with the Disney Plus Wave Scarlet Witch figure. I am really impressed with the likeness on it. I love the translucent hands that really kind of helps sell those magic effects that we've seen a million times. Those little like corkscrew, soft rubber effects. I love the detailing on her, on her costume. It's mostly new sculpting. I think there might be a little bit of reuse from Hela on there, but it is a gorgeous figure. The likeness to Elizabeth Olsen, again, like these likenesses that they're churning out are import quality likenesses at a $20 price point, which I'm never gonna hate on that. I love the paint wash in her hair. Her mobility is a little bit stiff because of the type of plastic that they used for her the lower half of her costume, so like the skirt. But I'm really happy with the fact that they didn't give her those they're like those like wedged heels that they put on a lot of the female heroes. They are a nightmare to like get them into like a decent pose with those feet. It's almost like trying to pose like a Jack Skellington figure. It's just those feet are rough. Like if somebody asked me one time, like, what's my least favorite figure to pose? And it's Marvel Legends Maria Hill. I love that figure, but she does not stand. Like those feet, she has the worst center of gravity ever. But again, like they're improving. So like they're not giving, it's not just like an assumption that because it's a female superhero, she's got to be in like weird wedged heels. She has normal feet, which make her, easy enough to pose. So yeah, that's my Marvel Legends.
It's a good pick, man. That really is a good pick. If I was going with more MCU stuff, I probably would have picked that up. That one is actually, that's all new pieces. That's top to toe Mayshelf right there.
Okay.
And that whatever it is that Mayshelf turns out, he's gonna freaking rip it, dude. Like he's the same guy who sculpted the new Deadpool top to toe, the MCU Deadpool now, as it were, not so much Fox anymore. So you can see that with his stuff, especially when you compare it to something like that, to where they give him free reign on whatever it is that he wants to do as far as sculpting is concerned, you will find more often than not that his stuff leans more toward kind of like that importy type of quality, to where it's like, damn, dude, like this actually looks really good for a Legends. It really does.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the motion, like I normally don't care for figures that have aspects of them that are like frozen in motion. So like if there's like blown back hair, or like a tie blowing in the wind, that stuff kind of gets to me sometimes. But her hair blown back the way that it is, like she's kind of always in this like magic aura wind anyway, so I think it works really well for her. But it's a stunning figure.
Yeah, it's a great one.
Jay, you're up.
Let's see. We got number nine right now. So we're gonna go ahead and kick it to one of the ladies right now. And this was my second to last video that I had put up. This was for Executive Replicas Lady Death figure, which was produced by Loose Collector. Now this is one, I mean, of course, and this all just comes down to preference, and this comes down to a big old freaking whopping nostalgia factor here. Because back in the day, like I did explain in my video, is that I used to collect all of those more action collectible figures. And the one thing that really just sucked about them, I mean, and of course, not necessarily sucked, it's just that they were products of their time, is that they really did lack in articulation. And these were characters who I really dug on. I mean, because back in the early millennium, as far as the zeros, the 99s and 00s, these upstart companies like Chaos Comics, You know, like they were just coming out with these really subversive storylines, you know. So of course something like Evil Ernie, which you know really goes far and away from your typical Batman and Spider-Man titles. You know, you started to get into some really murky waters as far as characters are concerned. And I'd always wanted just plastic versions of these characters that stood toe to toe with Spawn figures, that stood toe to toe with Marvel Legends figures, and you know, finally in 2021, we had a company to finally step up to the plate there. So we're looking at Executive Replicas, who does a lot of these Fison bodies, you know, like those soft rubbery type of bods, but they just so happen to have the licenses to a lot of great characters like Red Sonja, Purgatory, La Muerta, just basically a lot of these great characters that just haven't gotten a lot of love in plastic form. So you have Loose Collector come along, who's been around for the longest freaking time, one of the greatest customizers who's out there. I mean, back then and now, and it's just so fantastic just to see this dude just come into his own and just swinging his own lines now, which is great. So the reason why I love this Lady Death figure, of course, just getting back to it, is preference, character in and of itself. But you get it in hand, and the thing just feels like a really spendy, upscale Marvel Legends figure. To where, you know, you're looking at almost the same exact type of articulation, a little better, the same exact type of aesthetic, but when you feel it, when you start to pose it around, it just feels so much better as far as the plastic, as far as just the strength of the joints, as far as the paint application. So when it comes to something like that, you know, it just really excites me. And especially when it comes from a smaller company, especially smaller companies that you really just want to see succeed. You know, you're rooting for them and you just want to see more. So yeah, Lady Death is one that I'm just really excited about right now. And I can't wait for more from these guys.
Yeah, that one for me, I didn't know anything about that IP actually until you had posted the pictures of the figure, and you know, I was like, wow, look at the hand holding the figure in this picture. Uh, no, but I looked into the property and you know and the company and everything, and yeah, it looks incredible. Dave, are you at all familiar with that, with Lady Death? Is that a comic that you were in? Because I know you kind of got into some of like the, you know, more of like the, I don't want to say offbeat stuff, but like the hack slash and, you know, that kind of stuff.
I definitely remember the chaos stuff from back way long ago. Definitely familiar with Lady Death. So when I just looked at the figure and I'm like, oh yeah, I know who that is. Really fantastic looking figure. I mean, what's cool too is it looks like, you know, and I'll have a lot of wrestling stuff on there just because that's kind of where I lean. But, you know, what's really cool is even like the shoulder joint on it looks kind of, I don't want to say hidden, but blended in.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it is a gorgeous looking figure. And I think you made I don't want to steal your thunder because I know you're probably going to bring up the figure that I'm going to quote you from. So I'm not going to say the name of the figure, but you made a point in one of your videos about like minimalism in paint.
Yes.
And how it's tough to accomplish that, and when it's done right, it looks great. And this looks like a good example of that. Like just really subtle.
To where you look at something that's just super duper freaking, like just super duper like simplicity is just so difficult to do well. But when it's done well, it looks so true to the source material. Whereas, like I said in my video, when it comes to just basic applications done badly, it just looks cheap. And you look at this particular figure, it does not look cheap at all.
All right, who's next? Who's up next? Is it me? Is it Dave?
I think it's me.
All right, go ahead, Dave.
So we're heading back to Mattel WWE land. This one, a very recent figure, Legends 10, Big Van Vader. What I really like about this figure is that it captures WCW Vader, and in a way, early pre WCW Japan Vader, with the big kind of Vader mask that he would wear, with like the horns and the shoulder pads. But also you get both kind of Vader masks, just the regular kind of black mask, and then the red mask that everyone's familiar with. But for WWE figures, they rarely kind of tread into that WCW category or that WCW territory. But when they do it well. So just a well designed figure, very cool figure.
Yeah, and McKenna actually, Bill McKenna posted about this, and clearly this was a figure that meant a lot to him, to put out, just because of his kind of history with wrestling and everything. And as the folks at the Major Wrestling Figure Podcast like to say, it's a McKenna mashup. Getting that kind of 2-in-1 with the figure, but I happened to come across that one in Target recently, and I gave it a good once over, and it is a really cool figure, really cool figure.
There's actually been a lot of Mythic Legions collectors who have been picking that Big Van Vader up just strictly for the accessories. I mean, because they're that good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that helmet totally fits right in with Mythic Legions, 100%. All right, so I'm going to move into my first Star Wars pick, one of two Star Wars picks on this list. It's the new vintage collection, Return of the Jedi, Boba Fett. I have a lot of Boba Fett, 3 3/4 inch Boba Fett figures. And some of them are dreadful, but like they were just the best like at the time. This is officially this is the new benchmark for a Boba Fett figure for the scale, for the 3 3/4 inch scale. It's gorgeous. The soft goods are amazing on it. You can get every single famous silhouette. Like if you picture him, sulking in the background, or skulking in the background, excuse me, of Jabba's palace, like in the shadows, like you can get that like perfect like shoulders up, head down kind of vibe out of him. He can get into action poses. He's all new sculpting for the vintage collection. Every piece is new on him. The paint and detail on him is fantastic. I love the paint and detail on the blaster. It's his only accessory, but it's what else does he need? It is a great figure. I know a lot of people have been really happy with the Black Series one that came out around the same time as this, but for me as a 3 3/4 inch collector, I finally have like a Boba Fett I can be proud to display.
And in some ways, like I've seen that 3 3/4, that 4-inch Boba Fett, in some ways is better than the Black Series, and that's because the Black Series is pretty sweet as is.
Yeah, I mean he doesn't suffer from the helmet squish because his helmet isn't removable. So the way that he's packaged and the fact that the helmet is just all kind of one piece. He doesn't get that shipping squish that are happening to some of the Black Series ones, where people are having to like heat it up and kind of remold it. But yeah, it is amazing. I'm super impressed. The new stuff that they've been putting out for the vintage collection, and we'll get to one of those as we get a little bit higher up on the list here. But it really is incredible. The new stuff that they're doing with the vintage collection. I'm super impressed. Jay, back to you.
Right on. So we will go ahead and go to another smaller toy company here. And the only reason why I'm putting these in 2021 is because I didn't land them in 2020. And I am talking about everyone's little favorite desk buddy. I'm talking about Plunderlings.
Hey.
These things really are a lot of fun. And for me, I went ahead and picked out Zombone, saying that he's my favorite character. But, we are pretty much looking at the exact same buck for a good portion of them, give or take, a few different sculpting differentiations in the head sculpts. But for the size of these things and for the way that they move and the way that you can just like put them in like all sorts of just crazy poses. Given their large hands and feet, they're so easy to balance. And as far as just, with the way that they mix in with a good majority of 12 scale stuff, like I've been saying in a lot of my live streams, they're just so much fun to have around. I mean, they really are just so much fun to have around. And not only that, with where my collecting tendencies are going, I find that I'm picking up a lot more stuff from indie companies than I am from a lot of mass market stuff right now. Granted, I still love my mass market stuff, but I'm starting to appreciate all of the more indie stuff just that much more. So I find that Plunderlings right now, like they're really just scratching that itch of just really, really good craftsmanship, but just like getting back into why we started collecting these things when we were kids, which is the F word right there, which is just fun. So yeah, these guys, like I said in the video that I put up, I think like back in, I can't even remember now, like January, February, somewhere around there. Like it seems that we've been going through 2021, like through about a good year now, and it's only been half.
Breakneck speed.
Yeah, really, it's like those little guys really are doing it for me.
So here's our first crossover. So they were also Plunderlings was also on my list.
Nice.
I had them up a little bit higher than you. I had them up a little bit closer to that number 1 spot. But I had specifically I had Grotto on my list. I had the fawn.
Oh, that's a great one. I have that one too. Yeah.
I love that little red guy, man. That little red bastard, he gets everywhere. My favorite thing to do with them so far is I'm starting this little 1/12 scale video game collection. So I had messaged you about the Pikachu that you had because I wanted I wanted a little Pikachu. I have the Jax Mario. I have the Jax classic Sonic the Hedgehog. I just picked up Figma Link. The Plunderlings look so good with those video game characters.
Yeah, they mix right in.
Oh, it's so like I can picture them like imagine one day like a little a Lone Coconut indie toy company like becoming like a DLC character in Super Smash Brothers or something. Would be amazing. But they are absolutely fantastic figures. And to your point, like some of the stuff that I have pre-ordered that I'm most excited for is indie stuff. So like I have 2 of those Animal Warriors of the Kingdom figures. I needed that giant gorilla. The folks over at the Valaverse, I have the Sergeant Slaughter.
Sergeant Slaughter, same.
Yeah, I have that pre-ordered. Like I'm so excited to get both of those or all 3 of those figures. The indie stuff has been a lot of fun lately, and Lone Coconut, they are absolutely, talk about lightning in a bottle, man. They have god level lightning in a bottle with the Plunderlings line. Dave, I think that takes us back to you.
Yeah. So this will be the first appearance of something not wrestling on the list. Certainly not the last, just from looking at the list, but first appearance of non-wrestling. And we talked about Bizarro before. There were some fantastic DC Multiverse figures, and some that might even find their way into the top 10 later on, as I kind of think about everything more and look at everything and the year goes on. But right now, this is the only one there. And it is part of a 2-pack, but I am taking one half of that out. And it is, since it was also available as a single, just an awesome figure, and a figure that I didn't know I needed until I saw it. Kind of like where I had Cyborg and Flash last year. And that's Red Hood.
Oh, yeah. Such a good figure. I love it. I love that Red Hood figure.
Yeah, he just looks so menacing, like, and the paint on the hood is really cool too.
Yeah, they did a really great job with that metallic finish on the actual helmet mask hood part. Yeah, it is. That might be one of the best DC multiverse figures that McFarlane has done to date. It's like right up there with Azrael.
Yeah, that Azrael is incredible. That's one of those ones. If I got it last year, it would have been high up on last year's list. But I didn't realize they needed it until this year.
Yeah,
Because it's basically comic book Azrael, not just from White Knight.
yeah, and the thing is, like, other than I think DC Direct did a Red Hood, like a similarly styled, just kind of like modern comic book Red Hood, a few years ago, but it didn't have as much articulation as this one does. Yeah, it is one of the. I'm there with you. It's one of the best DC multiverse ones out there so far. Jay, I think we're back to you.
Right on. So we're at number 7, are we?
Yes.
Right on. So let's go ahead and revisit Boba Fett, but this time we're going to go ahead and revisit Black Series Boba Fett. So we'll be looking at the 6-inch counterpart here. And I will admit that I geeked. I geeked a little bit when I got this thing in hand. And for me, this was something that I had been low key hoping for, because it was summer 2020. I'd gotten my hands on that Beskar Mando. And one of the things that I had mentioned in the video itself, I was like, you know what? For as many renditions of Boba Fett that we get, metallic Boba Fett, friggin' prototype Boba Fett, reissue vintage Boba Fett. It's like, can we just get a new Boba Fett, top to toe, new sculpt, pinless tech, some more accessories, and wouldn't you know, a couple months later, we get one announced, which is fantastic. So even as soon as I saw those renders, I was like, I cannot wait to have this in hand. And just getting it, it did not disappoint. Now, for me, I'm very selective, incredibly selective when it comes to Black Series. I mean, it's to the point now I just collect Mandalorian figures, and really just the odd bounty hunter and or member of the Sith. And Boba Fett, when I got this one in hand, I was like, you know what? I mean, this actually might be one of the best, if not the best, Black Series figures I've ever had the privilege of handling. I think with Bo-Katan coming in at a good second right there, I think they've really gone up and away when it comes to the quality of their Mandalorian figures. And I wish that kind of love, that kind of magic could be put on some of their Jedi and Sith figures as well. But yeah, dude, just like even for me, like having to just shape the helmet myself, just with the way that this guy moves, it's just so damn fluid. It really is. And a lot of folks can say, well, the Mafex is better. I'm like, well, yeah, but the Mafex is going to cost you $80, whereas this is just, a good 25. Somewhere around there. Mm-hmm. So yeah, when you look at sculpt, when you look at posability, when you look at accessories, yeah, man, it's like, for me, it's fairly bulletproof as far as a Boba Fett figure is concerned. 6-inch anyway.
He does come with one of the one accessory I wish the 3 3/4 one came with, that the Black Series one came with, is I love, because it's a Return of the Jedi Boba Fett. It's that color scheme. I love the lightsabered in half blaster.
Yeah, that is. They didn't, and the thing is, like, they didn't have to give us that. And they're like, it'd be fun putting that in. I'm like, yep, that's pretty great.
And here's the crazy thing, right? So they gave the Black Series figure that accessory, and you have a series of other, like, you have a Luke that you could pose with him, making him cut the blaster in half. Like in the vintage collection, I have the skiff, I have the skiff guards, I have the skiff driver. I have the whole setup to like literally recreate that scene, and nice. I didn't get that accessory, and it's like, damn it.
What really sold it for me, I think, was the flame effect.
Yeah.
That thing is just awesome.
Yeah, the couple of flame effects that they've done in that 6-inch scale. So the one that came with the incinerator trooper,
yeah.
Even the flame, I use it all the time. From that deluxe Black Widow the like little flame explosion that plugged into the base that came with the Black Widow figure.
Yeah.
Also a great flame effect. Like whatever color and plastic they're using for that it works really well with lighting, and it looks really great.
I always feel like anytime I see Black Series figures, I always kind of like am like, I wish I had jumped into these at some point, but then I'm kind of happy I didn't, because it's just they're all really good.
You have your first ever Black Series figure coming to you.
Yeah, at some point.
I ordered it for you as part of the extension of your wrestling figure collection.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Koska.
Yeah,
the Sasha Banks figure.
Yeah, had Sasha Banks. Just like you're on the hook for the McFarlane Peacemaker because of John Cena.
Well, judging from the looks of that movie, I have a feeling I was going to get that anyway. But yes, I didn't.
I think that's an awesome way to extend the wrestling collection. To be perfectly honest with you, I think that's a super fun way of looking at it.
I just gotta hope Dune's good, and then maybe find that Build-A-Figure Batista. But
yeah, those figures are. I mean, at least
they are on clearance.
Yeah, the Target by me has them all on clearance. So you might want to preemptively pull the trigger and just kind of cross your fingers and hope that Dune is good.
Yeah.
All right, my turn, right?
Well, did you? I actually don't know.
I'm just gonna go, and then we'll go to you. I think I might have skipped myself.
I think you did
assigning people, so that's fine. It works anyway because Jay already covered plunderlings, so we're good.
I thought you skipped that one. That's why.
My next one is Diamond Select, the Crow action figure. Now, Jay, you got a 1/6 scale Crow recently, right?
That is correct. I got the Hot Toys.
The Hot Toys one, yeah. So I don't know what it is. So I know Diamond Select specifically. We had Zach on the show recently, and we found out that the reason why they were able to produce Brandon Lee Crow figures, there's actually 3 now. There was a Walgreens exclusive, and then there's a Comic-Con exclusive with a really cool wingback chair that's coming out. But they actually got the license to make the Brandon Lee figure through the Bruce Lee estate. So when they got the licenses to make the Bruce Lee figures, they were granted the license as well to make the Brandon Lee figures from the Crow.
I actually had no idea that was a thing.
Yeah, because what ended up happening was we had gotten some questions for that episode if they were going to be producing more figures from the Crow film, and when we started talking about it, Zach had basically let us know that on the show that the license was really just for the Lee name, which is why they were able to make the Crow figures, which is and use Brandon Lee's license. So I have the standard release one, which is the one in the trench coat with the he's got the cool hole in the hand and the really nice guitar and everything, and he's got the tombstone, and he's got the 2 different crows that come with him. Really great accessory set. Really great likeness, really great paint and detail, moves really well. He doesn't suffer from any kind of like articulation hang up, and he doesn't feel like he's like 8 feet tall, which is again something that tends to happen with the Diamond Select figures. Like he actually scales well with NECA stuff, which in terms of like movie pop culture display type things like that actually works out really well. The thing that I have come to enjoy a lot about action figures that are kind of these one-off things, I love when they come with a ton of accessories, because those accessories you can use for other stuff. So like, I have a really cool guitar, I have a really cool tombstone, I have a really cool crow, like a bird. It's just a really great package all in all, like a great figure that represents a film that I adore, and a great set of accessories, and for me you can't beat that. So
it's definitely up there with the old McFarlane one as far as the annals of Crow figures go.
Yeah, and at least this one's not in that permanent I think that one he had like the arms out, right?
The arms out, yeah. He had that arms out thing going on.
Yeah, this one, you know, he has good posability, and you know, it's a great likeness.
So it makes you wonder which license Mezco has then.
Yeah, unless they're sitting on a Bruce Lee figure that they haven't announced yet.
Right? I mean, because like even like when you look at Gomez of Death, I'm like, come on, guys, who's kidding who here?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's one of those things, right, where it's like, you know, maybe because, you know, let's say they don't have the Bruce Lee license. You know, again, pure speculation. None of us know anything. But like, if you make a costume that's clearly in the spirit of something,
It's
but you
so
put a
iconic.
giant,
Yeah.
but you put a giant cockroach head on it, does that then cover you under like the law of parody? You know, like
Yeah.
I don't know, but you know, that's their thing with Gomez, right?
It's so murky, man. Licensing is so freaking murky.
Yeah. Yep. But yeah, so if the question ever comes up, you know, will you expect to see like any other characters from the Crow film? The answer is probably not.
Yeah.
Because they don't have
No
that
top
license.
dollar.
No top dollar, not happening. Yeah. So Jay, back to you.
Actually, this is a perfect segue. So we go from Diamond Select straight to Marvel Select. So my next pick for number 6 is the behemoth himself. We are looking at the ravaging / immortal Hulk. I have no idea if any of you guys picked this one up, but just from sheer size, this thing is just it's just outstanding. And just the way that it moves for a big fella. I mean, because like I said in my video, it's pretty much like it's pretty much almost the exact same sculpt that we did find with the Marvel Legends comic Hulk, but done big, just big, big, big. So of course, you know, that's the one thing that just turned me on about this thing is that, you know, it just towers over the rest of your stuff. And not only that, like I love a big, huge, imposing Hulk, you know, just to go along with the rest of your heroes. You know, I've always just been of the mind to where, you know, the angrier that Hulk gets, you know, the bigger he becomes. And you look at even just like the scale problems that Marvel Select has, Diamond Select has sometimes with their stuff. When it comes to some of their bigger figures, it works out. I think it works out great. So I've always just had a thing just for their larger scale stuff, especially when it comes to these larger than life characters. So Hulk is one, you know, that just he has good figure bingo just written all over him to where, you know, the sculpt is outstanding because from what I believe, the dudes at Gentle Giant handled this one as well because they handled the Marvel Legends Hulk before. You look at paint, which is even better than the Marvel Legends. You look at articulation, which is pretty much on par with the Marvel Legends. So you look even from the angle of a Marvel Select figure, usually most of the time they don't move as well as their Marvel Legends counterparts. And it's great to see that these two move pretty much exactly the same. So just to have a figure of that size that moves well and looks good and is, of course, of a figure and a character that I just love. Yeah, man. For me, like this one, actually, just it would have been a crime just not to mention this one in my list.
Yeah, that's one that is high on my list. I haven't been able to come across it yet in stock. Every time I've tried to get it, it has not panned out for me. So I'm hoping Diamond just announced that because they're completely sold out everywhere. But Diamond just announced that they're reissuing it, and they're reissuing a larger run of it this time, due to the popularity of it the first time around. Hulk is my favorite superhero, so I am hoping to pick him up.
Oh, dude, you're gonna love it. You're gonna freaking love it.
Yeah, it's the Hulk you see when you close your eyes. You know?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And I don't know if you guys have been reading the Immortal Hulk, which is I'm a little bit behind, but I think it either just ended or it's coming to an end very soon. The run of the Immortal Hulk that's happening now. It's amazing. It's like if the Hulk comics married like EC Comics like horror books. It's a fantastic story, and it's gory and awesome, and yeah, love it. Love it, love it, love it. Dave, back to you.
So this next one, I will say is really, I'll say the technological wonder of the year
Ooh.
thus far. I know it's a figure, Erik, you also really like. And it's just one of those things when back early on, when we were talking to Jeremy and they had just really he had announced that he wanted to do this and said, like, we need to make this happen.
Yeah, I know where you're going with this.
And it was just one of those things where it was going to be like, how, and they did it. Jazzwares absolutely knocked it out of the park and made an outstanding likeness, probably one of the best likenesses in the Unrivaled line. And of course, I am talking about Unrivaled Series 3 Orange Cassidy.
He can put his hands in his
He
damn
can put his
pockets.
hands in his pocket.
It is
I
a
just remember
remarkable...
seeing that tweet. We need to make him put his hands in his pockets.
And like it was like Magic's drawing, like like a sketch of literally just like a hand in a pocket.
Mm-hmm. And they did it. They did not lose articulation by doing it. You can make him be a perfect Orange Cassidy. He comes with like the unenthusiastic thumbs up. Like it's spot on.
He oozes the fact that he's nonchalant. Just oozes it. Jay, I don't know if you're familiar with Orange Cassidy, or like the wrestler.
Oh yeah, this is the figure that's wearing the Canadian tuxedo, right? He's got the denim shirt. He's got the denim 100%. Jeans, and
yep.
No, I've seen this figure. It's pretty great.
Yeah, it is. And the other thing too is like so not only just the pockets, but I think, Dave, you have to give some credit too to the way that his shirt and jacket combination works.
Yeah, because it's not a full, like, usually if you have something like best one I can think of is like the Best of the Attitude Era Triple H, where it's like a jacket and a shirt and it's just like this weird bulky thing.
Yeah.
But they figured out how to not make it be bulky, but you can kind of have Orange where when he comes out and he's wearing the shirt and the denim jacket, or no shirt and the denim jacket, and it kind of velcros in almost like a dickie.
Yeah, he's got like a Cousin Eddie Dickie on with the way that the t-shirt is, and it but it's perfect because like you're talking about soft goods, right? So you have like a faux denim jacket, which is already kind of has like a bulky kind of feel to it as a denim jacket would, but you can't really get like a t-shirt to fit skin tight, like the way that like an athlete would wear a t-shirt. So instead of giving him a full t-shirt, it's just a Velcro in Dickie, and it adheres perfectly to it like rests perfectly on his chest, and it doesn't like gunk up his arms or his shoulder articulation. It's
like, I didn't know that that's what it was until I saw it, and I was like, wow, that's brilliant.
Yeah, and you start taking it apart and you're like, wow. Yeah, that was actually my first AEW figure. And I think I played with that thing for like 2 hours after I got it. Like, it just sat there and just I couldn't put it down. It was a fantastic figure. All right, next one on my list. This is gonna check off my import category. Is the SH Figure Arts First Form Frieza with Frieza Pod. This literally just came out as of the recording of this. Like it is brand new. Dragon Ball Z is my favorite anime. It's one of my favorite stories, one of my favorite cartoons of all time, however you want to put it. And I always loved, even though it's technically his weakest form, I always loved the First Form Frieza because he's got the big horns, he's cruising around in his little like, super evil pod with his tail hanging out the back of it. And this figure captures all of that. It's got all of the interchangeable faceplates you could ever want. It's got interchangeable ears, so that way you can put his radar on his face or off his face. He can go sit in his pod, which is amazing. You just kind of pull his lower half off and he pegs right into the pod. Same with his tail, and you can have his weird rat tail hanging out the back of the pod. The thing that I really appreciated about this figure, all of the function and fashion of it aside, was the fact that they realized that the inside of Frieza's pod had never been shown in either the manga or the anime. Had never been shown. So they actually went back to Akira Toriyama, the artist who did Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z, and they said, hey, we're making a figure of Frieza and his pod. What does the inside of his pod look like? And Akira Toriyama drew the inside of the pod for them specifically to be able to make this figure and make something that was, would be accurate to his vision. And after he drew it for them, he also included that he always envisioned that the gold, the yellow parts of Frieza's pod were actually like a metallic gold. So for the first time, we really have something that is a representation of the way that the artist actually envisioned this this super heinous villain and their villain floating pod to look like. So it's just a thing that's like packed with all these fun goodies and Easter eggs and prettiness. And I love it. And I think that'll take us back to Jay, right?
Cool. Let's see. So coming back to smaller toy companies, we'll go ahead and swing it to the Mythic Legions Aether and Aethon set. Now, if you guys aren't familiar with this one, pretty much all I can say is freaking awesome heavy metal demon with his demon freaking horse who has freaking horns and is on fire.
Yeah.
Yes. That guy.
oh, that one.
That one, yes. And the one thing that I am digging about this is, of course, like I look at this thing, it's a piece of toy art. Because for those of us who do collect Mythic Legions, we all know like they're reused top to toe, like they're all reused. Because they're all the same body type. I mean, we're basically looking at the exact same thing that Marvel Legends does with their stuff. Like you have your Bucky Cat bug, you have your Sunfire body, you have your Captain Universe freaking body, just things like that. They have their own things that they do, and they just add on to it. And this guy is just so, and I will always just keep coming back to this adjective. He's just so damn metal. He's the embodiment of death metal in plastic form. I mean, because we're talking about big freaking on fire demon head with two demon head freaking shoulders, with a demon head on his freaking chest, with more demon heads just on his knees. He just has demon armor everywhere.
He's like a living blacklight poster. Pretty much.
Like you look at basically everything that your parents warned you about, with the evils of Dungeons and Dragons back in the 80s. This is the embodiment of that. Right there.
Yeah.
And not only that, it's like, you'd think that, and it's bad because like even like when I first saw the promo pics for this guy, I was like, well, that's a bit garish. And then I saw it. I saw it in hand for the first time. I was like, I'm a stupid, stupid jerk for not pre-ordering this in the first place. I was like, are you kidding me? Like, how freaking cool is this thing? So that's what I made the schlep for. And of course, I wanted to hang with some folks, but I needed to get that Aether. So I made that schlep up to Wayne, New Jersey to get that thing along with his freaking rock and roll pony. Because this thing it's just massive. Like it really is just freaking massive. And it sucks because like you can see pictures of it and it looks great, but once you have it in hand, like you see just really like what all the commotion is about. Because for some odd reason, but then again, it's not really odd. This is the wave that's just going up like freaking hotcakes right now. Like BBTS cannot stock it fast enough. Like every time they get a little bit more for pre-order, they're just gone. Like they're gone. So I would imagine that with the in stock sale that Mythic is about to have, these guys are going to go fast because this is just like the wave to have, and this is the figure, because um what it is that they did have in mind, and I'm a dummy for not realizing this, is that the Four Horsemen are actually making the Four Horsemen.
Four Horsemen.
Yeah. So this is the embodiment of war. Like this is their war offering right here. And you look at it, it's like, oh yeah, because like the next one, it's like pestilence or something like that. It's like the vampire wave, and this one, when you look at it, and when you look at it in that context, it's like this makes so much sense, man. So yeah, that's the one right there. And I've never really gone like that gaga over a Mythic Legions figure before, but this dude is just too gnarly. He's just way too freaking gnarly.
What I keep waiting for is I haven't seen anybody take the picture of it yet. I want somebody to put that Mezco Hellboy on that horse.
Oh yeah, that looked pretty sweet.
So I don't know if you have. Do you have the Mezco Hellboy?
I do. So I'll take a picture of that just for you.
Yeah, you might have to. I'm gonna request a hand pick on that one.
that can be arranged.
Nice. I'm pulling strings. I think it's back to me, right? No, to Dave. Yes, to Dave.
Okay.
Back to you.
So my number 5 is I have an indie on here too. And it's something that was pre-ordered in 2020, but by the time it crossed oceans, it was 2021. Actually, you know what? This is still a 2020 thing, but it was so close to the holidays that I'm calling it 2021, and I don't care. And I'm putting it on my list for this year, because I think we had already made the list for last year, and so that was my excuse for getting it on this year. I don't think anyone else is going to have this on there. Friend of the show, and somebody who's going to have 2 more figures coming out, and actually 4 more figures coming out this year. Junk Shot Dog.
Oh, okay.
And it is his Sofubi Pro Wrestling Series 2 Bruiser Brody figure. This is not your articulation special. There are 2 points of articulation. But it's just like a really cool figure, because it encapsulates a style, the Popey style of figures, which for a lot of pro wrestling collectors, like, you are not, that's kind of rarefied air. They are very expensive and, not very attainable. But if you're into like the Chara Pros and things like that, it's still a little bit of a different style because it's more geared towards those older original figures. So it's just, it's really cool. You're not getting like, an incredible likeness, but it's, who it is when you look at it.
And he's announced 2 others so far, right? We have Bull Nakano is coming, and
Dynamite Kid, and didn't he also announce Legion of Doom? Or Road Warriors?
Yes, that's right, and Road Warriors. Yep. So yeah, those are the other 4. Yeah, super cool figures. Super cool. I think those Popey style figures go back to like the early 80s, right? 81, 82 was when they were coming out.
Late 70s, early 80s, I think. Yeah.
All right, so I'm gonna throw down my other Star Wars pick for my list, and we're going back to the Vintage Collection, and we're going to the Walmart exclusive Din Djarin and Grogu 2-pack of the Vintage Collection. So again, this is another Vintage Collection release that had a Black Series counterpart. This was the Mandalorian Din Djarin that had the swappable heads. So I think I'm not sure if the Black Series one had just a removable helmet. This was actually, we have a head for no helmet and then a helmeted head. So actual swappable heads. He comes with the, so far, now the single-carded Grogu, the child, is out. But this was the first way to get the child in the Vintage Collection. And even that little scamp is articulated. But the paint and detail on this figure is crazy. It's modeled after I guess it's the episode with basically the showdown in the cantina when he's all battle damaged and IG-11 fixes him up. But he's got the jetpack, he's got the the rifle, he's got the canister with the Beskar in it. He's all dinged up and everything. Great figure, great accessories, great articulation. Comes with the child. What more could you ask for from a vintage collection figure? So, and I alluded to this earlier, but the new vintage collection figures, so like what they're doing in terms of engineering and paint and detail and everything, these new ones are incredible. The likeness to Pedro Pascal is striking, given the fact that his head is like smaller than a dime. It's absolutely wonderful.
It really is amazing that this, and again, it really is amazing that in some respects their 3 3/4 offering is better than their Black Series offering, especially when it comes to the likeness of Jawn himself.
Yeah, not that the Black Series one is atrocious. I think people were I mean, he looks a little bloated in it, fine, but it's obvious that it's Pedro Pascal. But I will agree with you that in this case, the 3 3/4 inch likeness is very much so more Pedro Pascal than the 6-inch one was.
Yeah, it's better for sure.
And you know what? That kind of makes me feel better because like the 3 3/4 inch figures, that's what put Star Wars figures on the map. So like, put a win in the column for us on that one.
And I mean, you're going to be getting more with the Razor Crest eventually, and
yeah, I can't wait for that, man. That's going to be super cool. Yeah, that's why I actually skipped the single card vintage collection child release. He comes with the original Pram, that the off-white one that he that Din picks him up in the first episode. He's not in that for super long. He's in the like chromed out one more, and that's the one that comes with the Razor Crest anyway. So I saved myself the $13 and skipped the single card release, knowing that I'll be getting one with the Razor Crest. And you gotta pick and choose sometimes. Jay, we're back to you.
Sure. I would hate to retread old territory, but only because I need to reiterate everything that was said about it. This Lady J figure I think, is probably one of the best, if not the best, classified figures that's out there, in my opinion. Only because of the versatility of the accessories, and of course, we do have something that is legendary, because not since, and I will say that Proxima Midnight, is the exception to the rule when it comes to double jointed elbows, only because, she's a huge, like, it was a very large figure. So of course they had that space, to put those double jointed elbows. But when we're looking at something that's practically the size of a Power Rangers figure, and just done that well as far as articulation is concerned, and like I said, legendary when it comes to a female figure, one would hope that this is the future from now on. And it sucks just knowing that we're getting those Scarlet and Baroness figures from the Snake Eyes movie line, which just goes straight back to what it was that they were doing. And I'm really hoping that the only reason because that's happening is because they had these figures waiting in the wing, and then boom, pandemic happened. But I'm hoping now, seeing that, they're starting to put in Marvel Legends, with these pinless, double jointed elbows. When we're looking at Domino, when we're looking at a few of the other gals that they just revealed, not these other reveals, but like the ones like last week or week before last. Yeah, like they're starting to look so good. So this Lady J figure, man, like she really, like you look at it, like this really is the future of the female figure for Hasbro. And just seeing that this was, their first time around, in doing something, this size with this many moving parts, and just when you look at the accessories themselves, that's just the bonus on top. So yeah, I apologize right now for repeating what it was that that we said about the Lady J figure, but I think it's a figure that's worthy of gushing over here. So yeah, that's my number 4 right there.
Could not agree with you more. Yeah, she could have easily fallen anywhere on my list. Aside from my number 1 spot, which for me is a very clear number 1, and we'll get there. But yeah, pretty much everyone else on my list is tied for number 2. The direction of the wind or position of the moon could very easily have changed any of the order of mine. But yeah, she is the future. That's the perfect way to put it. She is the future of the female action figure, hands down. Dave, back to you.
So this one I'm putting up there for like complete package more so than anything. The figure itself isn't earth-shattering, but the presentation of the figure is off the charts good. And this is Ringside Collectibles exclusive Jazzwares AEW Unrivaled Double or Nothing Cody. Now it's the first AEW Unrivaled figure to come with the TNT title, the original TNT title. But if you look at this package, it's an amazing figure. You have basically like a translucent background that represents the screen from the stage at Double or Nothing last year. And you have basically it's a figure that comes with a lot of accessories, but the accessories aren't obstructing the work of art that is the front of the package. The accessories, the extra heads, the extra hands, the shirt are all on the side of the package. So it's just, a well-presented figure, and kind of sort of like the a little bit of the bubbly from last year. The package is really what kind of makes this figure. Same here for the Cody.
Yeah, some of those special packaging for those ringside figures, I recently discovered the artist behind them. Actually, I think he's new to Instagram. We're gonna give him a quick shout out here. Chris Metzger, of Jazzwares. If you want to give him a follow, he's C_M_Metzger, METZGER. He does the specialty packaging for Jazzwares, and prior to that, he actually did packaging for Marvel and Toy Biz. He even going back to like the Toy Biz era, like WCW and TNA figures. So he's been doing packaging for a long time, and some really iconic lines, like including like the Spider-Man film figures. He designed the packaging for those back in the day. But what he's doing at Jazzwares with the AEW line right now is wild. Whether it's the set you just mentioned, a little bit of the bubbly, the Jurassic Express 2-pack, he's having a lot of fun with the packaging design, and it's great. It's absolutely great. All right, so my next one, I have a sinking suspicion that this is going to at least be on my brother's list, but it might be on yours too, Jay. This was a figure that we all ordered. I know we all have it. We all ordered this figure last year, actually about a year from where we are now. So last May, we all ordered this figure. And through some trials and tribulations and some Kickstarter issues, eventually we got the figure in early 2021. It is the Kickstarter Spawn figure.
That's bold.
So I'm putting it on here, and this is why. All right, so Spawn figure, the one that this is modeled after, to say that this is like a modern version of that original Spawn figure, and the giant clamshell with the comic book in the back. If you want to talk about like iconic action figures from the 90s, I think it's one of the most iconic from soup to nuts. Like the big cape with the living hinges that lasted about 2 years before they fell apart, and you ended up with like half a cape, to his weapon being a wooden board with a nail in it. It was an iconic figure. It was a new character. It was a new line. It was just all new, and it doesn't get more 90s than Spawn. When we first saw the mock-up model of this at Toy Fair last year, before it had any articulation lines, when it was literally just a statue standing there, and Todd was and the rest of the McFarlane team were telling us, like, this is going to be a Kickstarter, this is what it's going to be, yada, yada, yada. By the way, here's the Mortal Kombat 11 Spawn that we're debuting. Look, a new Spawn figure. It was just kind of like everything was Spawn-tastic. So, is this the best articulated figure that has ever existed? Hell no. Did Todd make some promises for this figure that it was going to do certain things, and it ended up not doing them? Yes. Like, we were told the cape was going to be removable, and it wasn't. We were told there was going to be, an ab crunch, and there isn't. Like, there were things that were promised that were not delivered. But I think overall, from the unboxing of this figure, the way that it's shipped, the way that the experience you have of actually opening it, the fun accessories that it comes with, the Necro Energy, the giant sword. Once you have this thing actually standing on the desk next to you, and he's got this massive cape, and it's just this big old hunk of plastic that's like exactly what McFarlane Toys is known for. When I have it in my hands, it makes me feel like I'm a kid again. And it makes me feel like I'm opening that original Spawn figure. And it like immediately just brings me back to like more innocent times of when, it didn't matter how an action figure moved. It just looked cool, and it looked cool on my desk. And, or it looked cool, with my other action figures. And for me, that's what the Spawn figure does. It is an updated version of that, what was it, 1994, 1995 Spawn figure. And it does everything that I need it to do. I wish it did more. I wish the cape came off. I wish, I was all for your petition to make it a soft goods cape, a wired cape. I mean, that would have been incredible. But at the same time, it having a big chunky cape that has 2 hinges on it, I mean, that's an updated version of the one that we had when we were kids. So, I can't be terribly mad at it. Ultimately, I still haven't figured out a place where I'm going to permanently display it because it takes up so much room. So it was out for a while, and it carefully went back in the box, and that's where it is currently being stored. But I do love the figure. It is not my favorite figure of the first half of the year, but it is one that means a lot to me. So that's why I put it on my list.
I think that's a pretty fair assessment right there. I mean, you've pretty much listed off everything that is just great about this figure. And of course, a lot of that does come from preference. I mean, it's the reason why I have 2 of them, and the reason why I won't give them up. Even though like Spawn is not on my list at all, but there's no way that I'm selling these guys or getting rid of them or anything like that because of the exact same reasons that you just detailed here. Because, I think of like me, like saving my per diems from school trips just so I could go out and buy, Spawn figures.
Mm-hmm.
And these are the figures that they really do take me back as well. Granted, those ones were a little bit easier to pose because I find that even trying to pose these things like now, like I have been saying, like they literally hurt.
Yeah, and they will mess up your light box and your display, and like everything is sharp.
Oh yeah, which is why like these things, like they're not coming near my dioramas at all. They will ruin them.
Yep. I just like I don't know where to put him. So like I have a little McFarlane display that has some of my DC Multiverse. It has some of My Hero Academia, and then it has my some of my classic McFarlane stuff, and then the Mortal Kombat 11 Spawn, who's actually holding the giant space gun that the Kickstarter Spawn came with. I would love to have him on display somewhere. I just don't have the display real estate for him to take up an entire cube.
Yeah, I was gonna say it almost needs like his own cube, and and then here we are, like you can go to GameStop and pre-order a clown and a Violator, like,
Yeah.
and the Violator looks enormous, which is what it's supposed to. So like, it almost kind of got me thinking about how much I enjoyed the figure again. Which yes, that will be getting mentioned a little bit later on mine. And for all the same reasons. Like for me, it was one of those things where like I didn't care about what it didn't do, but more so about everything else that it did do.
I think that's in summation it, right? So like this figure is either I mean, just like anything else. I mean, this figure is either for you or it's not. And I think anybody that truly believed that they were going to be getting this like ideal articulated Spawn out of this must not have been familiar enough with Todd McFarlane and how McFarlane Toys works. Like I mean, and I don't mean that as a knock to anybody. I don't mean that as a knock to Todd. He does what he does, and that's what he does, and that's what he's always done, and he's never going to change. I mean, like, what was his documentary on Sci-Fi called? Like Hell, I Won't.
Yeah.
That's just, that's who he is, and as he was making these promises with the figure, like, I had to I kept reminding like the people in our orbit, like, grain of salt, guys, grain of salt. If that cape, if he's making a hard cape and it's going on there, it's gonna be on there. Like that ain't coming off.
It really does suck though, because the articulation actually, it's not half bad. It really isn't half bad.
The cape kneecaps it. It absolutely kneecaps a lot of what you can do with the figure. And I know did you ever finish the mod on yours with the soft goods cape?
Oh yeah. The soft goods cape is fan-freaking-tastic, man. Like, if you saw the picture that I put up on Twitter yesterday, as far as like my new Desk Buddy arrangement, freaking that Spawn has the place of honor now.
Yep. That's right. I was just gonna say I did see a soft goods cape on your. I'm looking at it. Yep, there he is. Yeah.
Right by that Cygor that can't move very well, but it looks great.
Yes, Cygor. Yeah, another. If there's one thing that you can always bank on McFarlane Toys doing, it's giving you a lot of plastic.
A lot of plastic for very little money, which is freaking fantastic.
Yep.
And I mean, he said it back when we interviewed him at Toy Fair. Like, it was like, I am here to give you plastic.
Yeah. Yep. And boy has he this year. Yeah, I mean, I don't know how they're producing the amount of figures that they're doing, but they're doing it, and they're selling.
It's insane, dude. Like, it really is insane.
For a company that small, they're cranking out stuff and taking up peg space on its stores. It is remarkable. It is, and all of it
Batman.
I don't know what you're talking about. I saw Wonder Woman the other day. And I keep seeing Green Lantern. There's more than just Batman, Jay.
Yeah, dare we say there's it goes beyond.
No shui. Beyond. No shui. All right.
Which is another fantastic figure, but that's
all right. So, Dave, you also had Spawn on your list. Is there anything else you wanted to add about Spawn before we move on to go back to Jay?
No, nothing. Basically, I would echo what you said. It hit me in the feels. And it just was kind of, even down to like, yes, it's the reopenable clamshell or the resealable clamshell. But that's what it looked like, only enormous. Like, you got metal chains. They were cool.
Bingo.
It was cool.
Jay, back to you.
Sure. Let's see. So we'll go ahead and go to my number 3 spot, and this is a figure that is in my latest video right now. We're looking at the Sentinel SV Action. What SV stands for, I have no idea. Miles Morales. And this figure was a hard sell for me, especially after toying around with the Mafex Miles Morales, which I was not a fan of. And after playing with that one, I was just soured on the Spider-Verse as a whole when it came to merchandising. And then a couple months back, I had seen a couple, well, not, no, maybe like a month back, I lied. A month back, I had seen some in-hand picks from an overseas seller, and I was like, wow, this actually does not look half bad. So I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna take that $90 plunge. Let's just see, how it turns out. Like, worst comes to worst, I'll sell it the exact same way that I sold my Mafex Miles. Just sell it for cost and just get it out of there. And what did you know, man? Like, I got this thing in hand, and number one, it's a joy to pose. And then number two, the thing that I hated about that Miles Morales figure, about Mafex as it were, was taking off the soft goods and hoping that you weren't going to break this thing. And just swapping back and forth, just like this piece that was meant to be modular. They just made it so easy for you. I mean, and then you couple that with how much fun a Spider-Man figure can be, because of course, when it comes to Spider-Man, like these figures were made to be played with. So you couple those two things together, plus just this overall import quality that Sentinel is known for, because these guys are known for just making these really high-end Iron Man pieces. So when they focused all of that energy into a Spider-Man figure, it just became over the top. It became bulletproof. It became freaking amazing. So yeah, man, I've been having a lot of fun with this one. Granted, it's new, but at the same time, it's just one of those gut things to where you just start playing with something and you just say, I love this thing. I just freaking love this thing. And that Miles, man, is just doing it for me.
Yeah, based on your pictures, I think the only thing that would have bummed me out about it is the frozen in motion jacket.
Yeah,
that's on it. But I mean, if that's literally the one nit that you're
the one little nitpick, yeah,
it's that figure does look incredible, and you actually have me. I normally don't venture outside of the Marvel Legends stuff, just out of fear of opening cans of worms or letting toothpaste out of tubes I can't put it back into, but I'm very, very itchy for that figure because I love the Spider-Verse film, and while the Marvel Legends Miles is fine, that looks like it's the one. So.
Yeah, it definitely is.
Dave.
So for my number 3, we're gonna stay in the land of Marvel. And this was kind of one of those ones where I wasn't quite sure what to pick because there wasn't just one figure of this that I liked more than any other. But I do think the whole thing is just the whole line thus far has just been fantastic. And repaints aside, but it's another one that kind of hits you in the feels and harkens back to things that you collected as a kid. And this takes me back to the Secret Wars days. I of course I'm talking about the 3 3/4 Marvel Legends by Hasbro under the Kenner label. Now granted, I don't think we don't have Silver Surfer yet. If I were to pick one eventually, that would probably be it, but I have to get it first. So but right now, I mean, like, every figure is cool. Like, you have the translucent Iceman figure, you have old school Daredevil, Elektra, and there are some really fun accessories in there. Bullseye, you have Electro, and it kind of runs the gamut of Marvel characters, and you're eventually going to get into like that deep cut territory, and I'm here for it.
The thing that continually blows my mind about that line is their dedication to the fact that the line exists in like 1982. So like, people who are asking for things like red, like, oh, you did a green Hulk and a gray Hulk, how about a red Hulk? Or like, asking for like, will there be a Deadpool? Probably not, because that's not what this line is. Like, it's representing, and they're like steadfastly dedicated to the fact that this line exists in that very small time period, and you're only going to see superheroes, at least presumably for the time being, unless they evolve.
You're getting
U.S.
U.S. Agent, which is like late 80s.
Yeah, but still, like you're getting figures from that time period aesthetic, right? So I love the fact that they're kind of sticking to that with the line, and that there's so many possibilities of figures. I hope they, with that scale, they need to get into like some like wacky vehicles, like make like the Fantastic Car and make the Spider Buggy, and
oh yeah, that'd be great.
like do stuff like that with those figures, because I mean, ultimately they've said several times, like as collectible as these are, they are geared towards kids. Like they're hoping that kids are playing with them. And I know like the inner child in me would want vehicles and play sets and stuff. If that was
we need more villains too.
We have Loki coming, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
finish up some of the teams, but like there's definitely a lot of room to grow on this. I mean, really, the big disappointment for me was that we're already getting like stealth suit Iron Man.
Well, they're gonna repaint these.
Yeah, they're itchy for that reuse.
That's the only way that this line is going to succeed, is if they.
I mean, Spider-Man, I get, because you do need the symbiote Spider-Man, but like,
congratulations, Jay, you got a new black suit.
Oh yeah, I'm definitely getting that.
I wonder how his balance will be, though. I don't think it's going to be on point. All right, so back to me. So I have 2 left. So this is I'm on my number 2 here. This is my Jazzwares entry, and we're going to the Fortnite line, and a figure that I actually picked up on. I checked my the Instagram feed. I picked this up on January 2nd, so just made the cut. Jazzwares Meowscles. This is my favorite character in Fortnite. It is the character that I play as the most. It is a swole cat. And I just, there's nothing else that you could say. I mean, he's a big ass beefy cat with work boots and cuffed jeans and dual pistols, and he just is a big beefy cat, and I love him to death. And so that's my number 2. Jazzwares Legendary Series Meowscles.
I would have loved that one a lot more if I didn't have to do surgery to his belt and holsters.
Yeah, mine are a little loosey goosey. I haven't done that yet, but
it is a great figure though. It is a great figure. I'm pretty much going to be selling a good portion of my Fortnite figures with Hasbro coming in, but I will probably hang on to that guy because I like him that much.
Yeah, I'm considering. I got to see what Hasbro starts to do with the line. Like, I got to actually get them in hand first. I got to see how they look with the Jazzwares ones. I also want to see, there's been no official announcement yet that Jazzwares will not be producing 6-inch figures.
6-inch figures, yeah.
They just have not said whether or not they will be. They just said that they have an exclusivity deal for the 4-inch figures and the new micro figures, like the 2-inch figures that are coming out. Yeah, so it's yet to be seen what will happen with that, but yeah, that Meowscles figure, minor surgery aside, he's wonderful. Jay, over to you.
All right, we're gonna go and take a tangent here from the typical superhero comic book spiel that I've been going with, or even animated and whatnot. And we're going to be going in the world of wrestling for the first time. Now, the figures that I am talking about the Boss Fight Studios Legends of Lucha Libre. The Rey Fénix is fantastic, but for me, Penta, El Cero Miedo has got to be one of the best figures I've played with in a bit, man. Like, this thing is so good. Like, this thing is so good that it got me back into wrestling. That's how good this figure is. Because I'm not gonna lie, man. Like I haven't had that urge to watch wrestling in so freaking long. Like, I am a product of the NWO Attitude Era. And after that, I was like, yeah, it's like I think I'm kind of outgrowing this. And when I saw these figures, and of course I had seen my friends go on and on about Penta, and and doing his his catchphrase and whatnot. I had no idea what the hell they were talking about. I just knew it was like, oh, his outfit's cool. There you go. But once Boss Fight made these figures and I got them in hand and really started to play and pose, and just seeing that these things, with just how well that they moved, with just how well they were sculpted, with just how well the application was on these guys, and then just going back to the source material itself, these things are probably the best wrestling figures that I've played with. And I've played with Jazzwares. I have plenty of Mattel stuff, but these are the ones that really do scratch my itch there. And not only that, they mix in with a whole lot of your other stuff, seeing that I look at Ray Phoenix and I look at Benta. I mean, these guys, they're freaking Mexicans just like me. So we're not very tall. So it works out, as far as just going toe to toe with these 6-foot plus superheroes and whatnot. Yeah, man, I am loving the just what it is that Boss Fight Studios is doing with these wrestling figures, man. And I'm hoping that, that they start doing some more characters, because you just feel the quality of the plastic. You feel the quality of the articulation and the joints, as far as just like the extra heads, the hands, the accessories, things like that. They're just out of this world, man.
So, full disclosure, like when we were going to say, like, get into the honorable mention, just because I wasn't sure where I wanted to put these yet. Like, I haven't made my final decision on where these live, but these were two figures that I was very much looking forward to, from Toy Fair on. Like, especially with, the fact that there was going to be a Penta and there was going to be a Ray Phoenix from Jazzwares as well, and now there's going to be second Penta and Ray Phoenix from Jazzwares. But just seeing the deco on it and just how well they nailed the tattoos to the extra accessories that come with it. Like, Penta's been in a couple death matches. He came with a light tube. Like, it's borderline. They're borderline perfect in the execution of them. There's a couple things like, yes, you have the reused legs on both of them. But still, even with that, they are so good. And yeah, it does have me looking very much forward to Wave 2 and Wave 3, which Wave 2, I think we're getting like early 90s, late 80s Conan, and we're getting Lady Maravilla, which is awesome. And then we're getting the Fanaticos, which is going to be kind of it's
almost like their basic line.
But it's the articulation in it is like not basic.
Yeah.
But it's just kind of like more of a lower price point, I guess. Fewer accessories, etc. But yeah, these are fantastic. Like, they were my honorable mention if I were to have one. Just because I'm not quite sure where I've landed on where they live in this list yet. But yeah, they're awesome.
Yeah, and Jay, same for me. So like, I fell out of wrestling, back in the 90s as well. The pandemic and paying attention to, the stuff that like Jazzwares was doing with the AEW line. That's really what drew me back into wrestling too, was the AEW stuff. And then like, I'd finish up watching AEW and be like, what other new wrestling is there this week? Start watching, some of the WWE again. And, it's just kind of like, it has sucked me back in.
What I've been doing, I've been going back to pretty much just to YouTube, and just going on the recommendations of friends and saying, oh, dude, if you're into Cero Miedo now, it's like, yeah, you need to check out this match, and it's kind of insane.
Lucha
just like
Underground.
What's that?
The stuff from like Lucha Underground.
Oh yeah, a lot of that stuff. Yeah. So pretty much just like spending a lot of time looking at that stuff, like, but like between meetings and gigs, on Zoom and whatnot. I'm like, man, like this is just intense. I mean, because like these guys, like when I compare them to just like the lugs, who I liked, back in the old WCW days and whatnot. Just the sheer acrobatics that these guys do, man. Like it's amazing, dude. It really is.
So if you want to see something,
Ray Phoenix is unreal. Yeah.
Yeah.
if you want to see something incredible, if you have Hulu, the David Arquette documentary, I think it's called "You Can't Kill David Arquette." Highly recommend it. He goes to Mexico for some training, and there is an entire sequence of what I could only describe as mini wrestling matches that happen on the street in Mexico at stoplights. Like while the light is red, they have mini like short wrestling matches, and then basically walk up the line of cars and ask for money for watching the wrestling matches. The stuff that they pull off, these pro wrestlers, like they're just doing this on the side, is some of the most incredible athletic feats I think I've seen ever on a TV. It is unbelievable. And
outstanding.
And then of course like they get into the ring and it's even cooler, but like just the athleticism is absurd. It's absolutely absurd. It's nothing like it was in the 90s.
Definitely check into that.
At least mainstream 90s. But yeah, definitely check that out.
And there was a documentary on Vampiro as well. There's been a couple really cool wrestling documentaries. There's one about I think it's called Lucha Mexico, about like a lot of the CMLL guys. Pero Aguayo Jr. I think is in that one. Yeah, lots of really cool stuff. Spotlighting great wrestling.
And Dave, I think this goes over to you now.
So we're gonna stay in wrestling.
Shocker.
And there's, it's not often when the figure, you announce a figure and it's supposed to be like good, and it's just supposed to be the best figure, like our best deco in the line, and like, yeah, you should hit a home run with this one. But sometimes when you're supposed to hit a home run and you do, it should still be rewarded. And that's AEW Unrivaled Series 5 Luchasaurus. Like basically like almost a 7-foot tall dinosaur.
Yeah. Yeah. Speaking of luchadors, a lucha dinosaur.
And, like everything from the mask, the detail in the mask, to like, what's visible of his face, to the costume that he wears, like his gear, like it's just, his tattoos, like it's just a great figure. Like, yes, it's supposed to be like, and I know, Eric, we've discussed this before, like it should be a home run, and it is. Like, Jazzwares has been unbelievable so far with the Unrivaled line. They have hit some absolute home runs with some of the figures in the line thus far, and I feel like they're continuing to get better as they've moved on and as they've moved through the line. Like, we're past the Series 1 and Series 2 growing pains, and now we're starting to hit strides.
Yeah, and Jay, I mean, you gotta, if you haven't seen this Luchasaurus figure, if you're talking about a figure that just kind of like can fit in with everything else, like a 1/12 scale, like fun figure, he is literally, his gimmick is he's a tag team wrestler. He wrestles with Luke Perry's son, who goes by the name of Jungle Boy, and his face looks exactly like Luke Perry, but he's got massive amounts of hair. And he wrestles with a near 7-foot tall luchador dinosaur that has like he paints his tongue bright green. He's got like a dinosaur headgear. He's covered in
long beard,
ponytail. He's covered in tattoos, and he is the most toyetic wrestler there is right now.
The
period.
Luchasaurus.
Yes. they actually just announced that they're relaunching Wrestling Buddies, like the plush Wrestling Buddies from back in the day, and he's one of the first ones that they're making, which is the best move they could possibly
Complete
make.
no-brainer.
Yeah.
Like,
and I think like too the other thing that's awesome about him, I may have this wrong. I don't know if he's professor level, but I know he's like a history teacher. Like like he's like a US history teacher when he's not a wrestler.
Oh,
Like
that's
that's what he studied. So like he is just like a big old 7-foot tall, ripped, tattooed nerd that is way more athletic than a near 7-foot tall man, like a man his size should be. And he seems like he's like the super nicest guy, and
it's just this larger than life character.
yeah,
And it's
amazing.
You would think like this shouldn't be good, but it's great.
Yeah, the tag team is called the Jurassic Express. Yeah,
That's hilarious.
On the indies, it was a boy and his dinosaur.
Was it really?
Yeah.
That's even better. They should go back to that. That's fun. Yeah. So definitely keep an eye out for that for that figure. I think you'd be very happy with him if you come across him. So I'm gonna close out my list here with my number one. My number one is also a very recent pickup. It is the NECA Ultimate MacReady from The Thing, from John Carpenter's The Thing. One of my favorite horror films, sci-fi horror films, whatever you want to say. Some of the greatest like practical effect work that I think has ever been done in horror films was done in this, with the monster creation and everything. But MacReady, right? So Kurt Russell. A lot of people, when they think of like the iconic role for Kurt Russell, it's Escape from New York. For me, it's The Thing. When I think of him, I think of him on that Antarctic outpost. And this figure is awesome. So the head sculpt is great. The likeness of Kurt Russell is there, depending on the way that you look at it. There are ways, if you're looking at it like head on, some people say it looks more like Charles Bronson, which I do see that, but I think enough of Kurt is in these head sculpts. But again, like the accessories and the detail. So you can pretty much do every single iconic look from the film with him. The additional head sculpts have like the light blue hood up, and you could put the cowboy hat on, you could put the sunglasses on, you could put the safety goggles on, whatever you want to do with that. He comes with extra hands, and the hands actually, because the gloves come up past the coat on the figure, when you pull the hands out, the glove cuffs actually come off the jacket. So that way, when you put his ungloved hand on, you can see the end of the coat on the wrist, so that it's not like a weird, like his piece of his glove is left over. Like, very clever engineering on that by NECA. Again, great accessory set. He comes with a bottle of whiskey. He comes with a rocks glass that has a pour in it already. He's got a lantern. He's got a shotgun. He actually is he's new articulation. So he has a new hip joint system for NECA. So I didn't need to heat up anything. I didn't need to put him in hot water. I didn't need to apply a hair dryer to him. Straight out of the box, everything moved without a problem. Not a single hiccup in any of the joints. The detail throughout him is fantastic. It's just it is an absolutely wonderful figure for like somebody commented on one of our posts and said, like, you're right, for like just a guy. it's a really good figure, but it's true. He kind of is like, there's nothing like it, he's just a guy, but it is an absolutely wonderful figure. I hope they continue to use this articulation system because it's nice and smooth. He moves for me unlike any other like regular clothed NECA figure that I've had so far. So yeah, he's my number one for the first half of 2021, and I'm happy to have him.
Nice, man. That's actually a pretty good number one pick, man. Especially seeing that you were able to score that, because like I know like there's a few folks who've been scouring Targets and just trying to figure out the schedules of their local NECA representatives so that they're there to just get one of those freaking McCready's.
Yeah, I was not out looking for him. I happened to just be out actually with I had a Friday that ended early, and I took my infant out with me actually, and the goal was to drive around and try to get her to go to sleep because she was being a little fussy. So I decided to take her into a couple stores with me, and the first store I went into, they had the new Doc Brown, the Back to the Future Part 2 Doc Brown, which I also was looking for, and I was like, oh damn, that's awesome. And I saw the new King Kong, and there was no McCready, and I was like, whatever, like I'll eventually find it. It's early anyway. These aren't supposed to be out till Father's Day. And on my way home, she still was not asleep, so I picked another store to go into, and sure enough, there he was, fully stocked. There was like 8 of them there. Did not think I'd be coming home with either of those that day, but I'm very, very happy that I got McCready. I have not opened Doc yet. He's in the to open pile. Such is the bane of filming unboxing videos. I try to make sure I don't do it all at once so I can enjoy it a little bit. But yeah, that's my number one. So Jay, to you.
All right, man. So the number one spot is going to be going to an import, and we are looking at Mafex Superman. And one of the biggest reasons here is because, number one, it's been so long since I've had a good Superman figure. Because for as much as I do like McFarlane's Spawn stuff, like painful articulation aside, literally painful articulation, it hurts you physically every time you want to pose these guys. I'm not a fan. I wish I was a fan of their DC stuff, and I just haven't been able to get into it. So when it comes to Mafex and what it is that they're doing with the DC license, they're pretty much doing everything right, in my opinion. So it was fun for me to play around with a Superman figure that looked good, that moved well, great soft goods cape, and as far as just the aesthetic that they went with, which was Jim Lee, who I think, just does a tremendous service, to any DC character that he's rendering. This Superman figure is just gorgeous. It's freaking beautiful, and I think it pretty much it remedies everything that was wrong with the anatomy on the Mafex Hush Batman. So when it comes to just posing around this Superman, I mean, it really just has that, for lack of a better word, that Jim Lee muscular girth, how he just kind of makes his superheroes just a bit more thick. So when it comes to just getting the Superman figure in hand, and just what it is that I wanted to do, even when it came to taking pictures, like I hadn't been playing with my Photoshop probably in about like a good 2.5 years, possibly even 3. And when I said, you know what, I want to make this guy fly. Of course, just breaking out, the wire stands and the fishing line. I'm like, all right, let's make this guy fly. There was just so much fun in that, and just simply making a toy fly, making a toy, pick up, a Batmobile with one hand.
Yeah, that was cool. I like that one. That one was a lot of fun.
I mean, that really just comes down to it, to where I'm like, what figure have I had the most fun with, when it comes to video, when it comes to photography, when it comes to just all around playing. I'm like, yeah, it has to be this damn Superman. This damn Superman is so much fun. So yeah, it has to be number one, at least for now, the Mafex Hush Superman. Yeah.
Yeah, I loved when you posted that Batmobile picture. This goes to show how good you are, like how well known you are for your posing prowess. How many people commented like, "How did this guy get him to hold the Batmobile up?" And I think I might have shared the picture, knowing that, because obviously I read read the copy that you posted with the picture.
Oh
But
yeah.
because Photoshop was in there. But
Yep.
I think I posted the picture. I was like, what? This is dark magic. Or like, just Jay Hernandez, Sorcerer Supreme. It's like, yeah, yeah, but that figure is that figure almost made me buy was almost my first Mafex figure. Almost. Very close. I was very, very close to pulling the trigger on that figure.
It's a good one, and unbeknownst to me, it's become incredibly sought after now. I had no idea that was going to happen at all.
Yeah. Yep. And they have a new one coming out. They have the Dark Knight Returns Superman.
Yeah, the Dark Knight Returns Superman, which is fantastic too.
Yeah. See, the problem for me is I think Dave might fall into this category too. We've invested in the McFarlane line. The good and the bad. So like for me now, like I have Superman, I have Batman, I have the Joker, I have Robin, Nightwing. Like I have like a lot of the core characters. If I get the Mafex Superman, I'll need a Batman to go with it.
Batman, yeah.
And
I know how that goes.
And it's like, okay, the McFarlane figures while they're not perfect and the scale is a little wonky on them sometimes, I think ultimately if you cherry pick the line, there are some figures that are, I will say, good enough. And I've had a lot of fun with them so far, and they are getting better. Like some of the newer ones.
I even love that first Superman.
I actually do too. I do love that Wave 1 Superman. You can't do a whole lot with him because of his articulation, the single jointed elbows, and his cape is very hard. It's like a very hard plastic cape, so there's really no give with it. But like you can get him in a flying pose, you can get him punching stuff, he can walk.
That's all I want. Yeah. I want him one arm out, one arm on his hip, and I want him just looking like he's flying.
Yeah. And for those purposes the figure works. But yeah, that has kept me away from has really been been the thing that has kept me away from the Mafex stuff, especially watching your damn videos and you with those poses and everything. It's just, I watch them like, damn it.
Yeah, every time I see another Mafex, I'm like, yeah, that's really cool, but
yeah, that's really cool, but
it's kind of like why I don't have any NECA figures. It's just like I can't.
Yeah.
Other than like the Toonie Terrors, like I can't just. I can't get one Jason. Like
I opened up that can of worms, man. I keep telling you, I'm like, stay away. Don't do it. Don't.
Yeah,
don't
every
be
Jason
tempted.
is different. You need each one.
Don't be tempted. So Dave, you technically don't have a number 1 now because we talked about it, right?
It's Spawn. Yeah.
It's Spawn. All right.
Yeah, that was yay.
Anticlimactic
end of the episode.
Yeah, so that's it. So there is 30 of what we think are some of the best figures that have come out in the first half of 2021. This will officially have been our longest episode, so that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
Jay, before we let you go, where can we find you on the interwebs?
All right. Well, you can find me at Jay Hernandez on YouTube. It's actually as simple as that. You type in Jay Hernandez on YouTube, J like the letter, Hernandez, and I'm the first dude who pops up. I'm like, wow, I actually thought this name would have been a lot more common. So you can find me there on YouTube. You can find me at just Jay Hernandez on Instagram, and I have recently joined Twitter, so you can find me on Twitter at ToyJawn1. That's Toy JAWN 1 at Twitter. And yeah, for those of you all who don't know what Jawn is, it's a Phillyism. I'm sure my Jersey boys here know exactly what it is that I'm talking about.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you so much for taking the time to chat with us this evening and for running down your list. And we're gonna let you go back to cranking away on those amazing videos that you make.
Right on. Thank you, man. I appreciate it, and I'm so happy that our lists were as incredibly diverse as they were. There wasn't a lot of overlap, so that was great.
With that, we'll do you want to sign us off with your sign off?
All right. We'll go ahead and do that. So, with that said, With that said, respect yourself, respect those around you, and we will go ahead and check you later. And as always, stay frosty.
Thank you, dear listener, for hanging out with us today. Subscribe, rate, and review us wherever you listen, and then tell your friends to do it. Thanks also to Joe Azzari, the golden voice behind our intro. Our music is Game Boy Horror by the Zombie Dandies. Find more about them both in our show notes.
Follow us on social media at AIC_podcast on Instagram and Twitter. Stop by and say hi, show us your toy hauls, and share your toy stories. Maybe we'll talk about it in a future episode.
Don't try this at home. Void where prohibited and some assembly required. Each sold separately, not a flying toy. Consult a physician if your toy run exceeds more than 4 hours.
This has been a non-productive media presentation. Executive producer, Frank Hablawi. This program and many others like it on the Non-Productive Network is distributed under a Creative Commons Attribution Non-Commercial No Derivatives license. Please share it, but ask before trying to change it or sell it. For more information, visit non-productive.com.